Although I've always loved to travel and I've lived in a lot of places, I recently made the decision that I will never be an expat. My roots are here in the state where I live, in this country, on the East Coast. My roots matter to me for better or worse. I wrote a weird email recently to this author/entrepreneur/YouTube guy who expatriated to Mexico a few years ago and who I've followed for a long time. It's pretty embarrassing, so of course I'm sharing it here publicly. I believe that sometimes you should just challenge shame and embarrassment to a staring contest and never flinch. It's weird and uncomfortable in the moment, yes, but in the end you deny them any power over your life direction, at least, hypothetically. So here's what I said to this expat dude who doesn't know me from Adam, because I really liked his, quote, second brain ideas on creative organization. But then he did something weird that proved to me that we're just not on the same page, he and I. He launched this big campaign with a small business acquisition bro selling some kind of AI course and declaring that all of his previous ideas were now dead and doomed to be replaced by AI. The acquisition bro boasted a lot about how he's a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur who acquires small U.S. businesses, the quote mom and pops as the bros call them, and then optimizes them from afar, in this case from his home in Mexico. He specifically mentioned plumbing and trades businesses, of course, as they do. And I do love AI cautiously for the advances it will bring, but I hate the acquisition bros and everything they stand for. In fact, due to repeated exposure to them, I've grown to hate the very word optimize. Private equity has been disastrous for the efforts of local people in the U.S. to serve, care for, feed, house, and otherwise do business with one another on a local and ethical level. Make no mistake, private equity said fuck you to all of us on that front and then ran away with all of our stuff. But back to the expat entrepreneur and his new business acquisition bro partner. Is AI really going to replace creative organization itself or the various systems of organizing our thinking that have existed for 60 or 70 years, both online and off? No. Is it going to replace or reduce some of the income streams that came along with the need to get creatively organized? Yes. That's what he really meant but wasn't saying. Depending on your definition of wealth, he's clearly decided to go after more income for himself personally, but not more wealth. Anyway, here's that embarrassing email. Quote, I loved your second brain content for the way it celebrated creativity and celebrated the quirky, creative people making cool stuff. This acquisition bro stuff is sad to see and is definitely not for me. Give me regular people investing in the real place where they live, not gobbling up companies from afar. I'm disappointed that our values don't match after all. I love AI and use it, it's exciting, but this is just a big no for me. Just offering feedback from a former big fan before I unsubscribe, end quote. The email betrays my human tendency to form parasocial relationships with figures online, sadly. It's weird, but it also leads to a new determination. Something more fulfilling than emailing strangers who don't know I exist, to tell them I in fact do exist and I don't like them anymore. A declaration. I'm sick to death of the wealth extraction grift disguised as a new path to freedom, and I'm just going to call it out everywhere I see it now. I'm a big fan of freedom, the biggest, and I propose that along with freedom, everything good that we enjoy in the real world comes from our relationships with the people we love and the people we meet, which usually, but not always, unfold in an actual place local to where we live. That place matters, and the resources and comparative wealth of that place matters much more than worn-out old bigger pockets bro, boss babe notions of individual wealth. Those are born of the internet optimization age. The real meat on the bone is not to be found there. It's to be found where you are. Revolutionary idea, I know. And here's another one. The real value is found in what you share. And I mean that in the most capitalism-embracing way possible. I'm no fan of socialism, don't get me wrong, so let me amend that statement. Real wealth is found in what you share willingly. Fresh air, history, stories, the dirt under your feet, ideas, friends, whiskey, bread, your front porch, the river, the sunset, the clouds moving along with the breeze, the neighborhood, and all the neighborhood joints. The notion of wealth as the digits in your bank account or your storied, quote, net worth is such an impoverished notion. We are better and smarter than that. I believe our wealth encompasses not just our town or neighborhood if you live in a city and the people in it, but the rich natural resources and the potential of all the people too. For me, it's a pretty small town on the East Coast and my neighbors here. The town hugs the shore of a river, so it's a river too. And we're close to the ocean, so it's this whole thriving estuary around us with loads of geese, diamondback terrapins, speckled trout, live oaks, blue herons, blue crabs, magnolias, cypress, river otters, and mallards. This town and our river encompass a unique history, indigenous, African, and European, and all the stories of all the families who made a life here. That's all part of my wealth too. It's a collective wealth resting now on a foundation of capitalism, and that works just fine until investors gobble up houses which sit empty in sad little rows after being optimized for cheap Airbnb-style furniture. And yet more investors gobble up small businesses which are optimized by exploiting local wealth, never by adding to it. There are so many examples of the misguided direction of that bigger pockets type ethos leading down a dark and twisted road, but I'm just going to look at two examples that span across my whole lifetime, both of which I have some experience with. Remember what I said about shame. Engage it in a staring contest and never flinch. Domino's is a great example from way back. A corporation recruits a quasi-local individual, partnership, LLC, etc., with promises of individual wealth to optimize feeding people in your town or neighborhood. Remember, optimizing is a euphemism for extracting the most while returning the least actual wealth. Yes, they'll return cheap food, customer service, convenience, or liquidity as the MBAs like to call it. Yes, all that. But none of that is real wealth, and what they extract is real wealth. It's like Kev said to Paul over a diner breakfast in the problematic but classic film Beautiful Girls, Bad Bet. Have you ever known a Domino's franchise owner in a small town? I have. I used to really admire them, sadly, and they're the epitome of the bootstrapped individualist, which generally can be a great thing, except what we never needed was faster, less healthy, and more soulless food to eat. I appreciate a good double negative. What we never needed was less local wealth. Another great example of the dark and twisted road from the past decade is the online business coaching craze, which I got swept up in at one time. I was a single parent who was desperately hoping to find a way to spend adequate time with my kids while still making a living. I was the ultimate avatar, right? Right. Sign me up. Take my money. Where do I sign? I did, in fact, sign on several times and spent thousands of dollars that I didn't really have. A lot of the information was good, and a lot of it left some key facts out, like the fact that every new business to actually get into business is in reality going to require a modest to large capital infusion up front, enough to cover startup and operating expenses, including your own salary, for probably a year or two. The remiss boss babes left that part out, and the truly unethical boss babes set up pyramid scheme adjacent funnels to capture the attention and income of people exactly like me, who didn't have said capital to infuse. The cringe social media posts it resulted announcing my latest business venture live in infamy. It's another example of extraction of time and energy and hard-earned income, but worst of all, extraction of hope. The entire online business coaching craze was fueled by it in such an insidious way, which leads me to another declaration. Don't prey on my hopes or the hopes of those I care for with your optimization strategy. Don't prey on moms like I was, driven by love for her kids and exhausted by the economic struggle. Don't prey on my town and our collective exhaustion either by offering us cheaper, faster food. Leave us alone. Do us a favor and don't optimize any of our stuff, in fact. We'll feed each other healthier food, fix each other's plumbing, and take care of ourselves. I maintain that capitalism doesn't necessitate wealth extraction. I know that because local capitalism exists. Quote, mom and pops is just a derogatory way to say doesn't extract wealth fast enough / not optimized / not taking enough away from the place. So let's all be mom and pops. Let's be mom and pops who nurture hope into real valuable things rather than just prey on it. Recently, I was confronted with this question: where does hope come from? And my answer was, hope is a plan. Where do plans come from? And then I thought about the phrase, hope springs eternal, which seems so poignantly true to me. Have you ever been to a place on the earth where an actual spring bubbles out of the ground? When I lived in Virginia, there were lots of towns in the area named after these springs, hot springs, warm springs, where hotels and resorts popped up around them. Given that towns and resorts are named after them, the springs take on this mythical quality. And for me at least, once you see the spot where the water bubbles up out of the ground, once you're actually standing there looking down on it, it can be something of a letdown. This varies depending on where you are, But in the mountains of Virginia, the spring is just a stream of water. It's mundane after all, and yet it's the epitome of abundance, a faucet you can't manually turn off. You can divert it, yes, but you can't turn it off. That's hope. That's real wealth. Two things that don't belong to us exactly any more than the water flowing from the spring, but they're ours to steward while we have them. Let's not go be expats and use AI to reach back into the U.S. towns and scalp them off the top. Let's declare hands off and use them to make beautiful things together right where we are.